everyone. Welcome to WD Carousel Podcast. My name's Ian.
And I'm Crystal.
And we're going to get back into our Discovering Hollywood Studios, which, as if you've been following the series, you know that we're perpetually baffled and confused. And that's okay, because we've just kind of come to accept it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we're not able to get down there. And we miss it so much. And the people who live down there and are able to revisit, we are supremely jealous of you. So we are living vicariously through our past and what research that we can do. And at this point in time, it's so long ago that we're just starting to like run into holes in our memory.
Yup. Not to mention that Hollywood Studios is a sad, strange park, and like just from its like layout in its current state. And so this week especially has been a weird one to try to piece together. To the point where I think I got it, and then Crystal went in and found that I didn't got it. So there's
you didn't got it.
I got about like 75% of it, and then Crystal's like, but there's a couple of things that maybe you didn't have.
It's
I'm
okay.
Like,
it was my childhood. We'll get into it.
Well,
but
to be fair, I was there when those things existed. Anyway, I'm so sorry. It's fine.
Before we get into that, though, we do want to discuss that in case you're not aware, we do actually have a Patreon that we want to invite you guys to check out. There we do a lot of, you hear us giggling every single time we do an intro, and it's because we talk about the weirdest things ahead of time. And it's through our Patreon levels that if you want to have content, not just get our episodes early, but if you want to see behind the scenes stuff, what the heck we were giggling about, or even, you know, there's so many different like benefits to this. We have like our highest level, we're willing to do a 45-minute phone or video chat with you to talk about whatever you want, whether it be Disney or, you know, how I do my eyebrows. I don't know. Just don't ask. Whatever.
I'm going to ask you about how you do your eyebrows now. It's like call between the two of us.
But definitely check out our Patreon. It's how we're able to keep giving you content, and you can join at any level. And you can find it on our website and a couple other places too.
Yeah, and the other one that you can find is like literally like just like open up the episode that you're watching or listening to right now, scroll to the bottom, and there's literally a link there. Like that's just like built in now, so it should be real easy to find. Not saying that we're desperate, we're not. We're just it's just easy to find.
yeah. But we do some of the silliest stuff ahead of time, and we want to be able to share this with you, but we don't know of a place to give you that.
Right, and also like. It's also like a little bit weird. Like it's like more off color than the stuff that we do like on the podcast.
It might be a little bit more PG or PG-13 sometimes.
Yeah.
Never R.
There'll be some light swears, maybe.
Yes.
The light ones. Which would make iTunes mad for us right now, because we are not considered an explicit podcast right now.
That
so
is
they would
very
be very
true.
upset.
That is very true. But getting into the episode today.
Yes.
We are going to dive back into Hollywood Studios, and again, in the confusing map that is Hollywood Studios, we are going to be doing Commissary Lane and Grand Avenue.
Right. And you might be wondering, what the heck are these things?
Commissary Lane literally is just off of the Chinese Theater. It has one thing. Well, I'll let you do the
we'll do it in the walkthrough
in a second. Or do you want to do that now?
Do you want to do some background first and we'll jump into it, or I'm good with whatever?
Yeah, we could do the background. That's fine, because there's not really a lot.
Yeah, not too much. There isn't and there is, but it all kind of reveals itself.
Ooh, revealing.
Yeah, it's very
This
revealing.
is where we get into our PG? PG-13.
This is where we get PG,
This is our normal podcast. It's fine. These guys are used to it by now.
Yeah. So, background. So... Grand Avenue is actually like based off of an actual historic district in LA. So it's like they took it and based it off of a real thing. However, and also this is actually a note that you probably see my updated note here.
I do.
Sorry,
it's in bold.
We're talking shop. I put it in bold. Wow. That's rude.
It's okay. I did the same thing to you.
That's true. I think I probably just my cursor was already bold. Anyway, we're just talking shop now.
You used my same parentheses. I can tell.
I did. So basically, I will just have to kind of talk about this up front because it makes everything else a lot more clear. the area that is currently Grand Avenue used to be part of a larger area called Streets of America, which was because Hollywood Studios was itself going to be a part park, part film studio. It was supposed to basically just active film studio. Yeah, it would be like backlots, and you could like they had actual studio spaces, like actual, you know, proper sound stages, and they also had proper outdoor sets that you could use, and people like so a company could come in and rent like a street area, and a lot of backlots in California have this where you can go out to the backlot and shoot on an area that looks like a chunk of New York. You'll probably find that a lot of movies have like one little chunk of New York that looks like other people's chunks of New York, and it's probably because it's the same Universal lot. Anyway, regardless, this is something that they wanted to do in Florida, but the problem was Streets of America was right next to a bunch of people, and there was really no point in shooting something in a controlled environment when it wasn't exactly a controlled environment because
and the backlot tour.
And the backlot tour, yes.
Yeah, because sorry, jumping ahead slightly, the canyon scene in the backlot tour and the gallons of water, thousands of gallons of water that come down. Yeah, that was really noisy.
Yes. Yeah, the canyon, and then there was because it was the Pearl Harbor thing too. Those two, those were loud, and there was people going through these trams all the time. Like it made no sense to have like this like really busy like top 10 in the world theme park, and then put like a controlled film studio into the middle of it. So it ended up being that Streets of America itself never really got used for that, and it just became kind of more of an exploring kind of thing. And as a young person, I actually remember quite liking it and seeing these like really intricate built things, but it not being real. I just found it fascinating. Yeah. But along with the backlot tour, when they were going to do some other stuff for Hollywood Studios, namely building Galaxy's Edge, they removed basically all the backlot tour and most of Streets of America, leaving only a little area near Muppet Vision 3D called the Muppet Courtyard. And then they took part of the Streets of America and brought it back, basically one block of it, and turned it into Grand Avenue. So
except for one building, at the exit of Muppets, when there is an actual like wall there, but over it you can see an apartment complex that says apartment for rent. They still have that building up for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. God, that's so weird.
I don't know why they didn't tear down that building. Maybe it's the ambiance.
Probably the ambiance. Yes. Yeah. It's a very odd thing. So maybe then what we can do is and also we should say after Muppet Courtyard being a thing for a very short period of time in 2017. Grand Avenue itself opened up properly with all of the things that it has.
Well, and Muppet Courtyard, let's get into the background of that a little bit too. Before Jim Henson passed away, he was in negotiations with the Disney company to be able to sell the rights of the Muppet Company, the Henson Studios, to Disney. And part of that pitch that Disney was giving them to take over the rights was they were going to build this whole Muppet land in that area. So in there, they were doing Muppet Visions 3D. They had scenery. They had all this other stuff. Multiple attractions were going to be made. Like there was going to be reference to the Muppet movie, which came out in the early 70s. And I'm not sure if a lot of people are familiar with it, but there were going to be a lot of visual references to that based off of an extinct attraction that we talked about last time, the Great Movie Ride, May it rest in peace. But there was like a whole like area like we're familiar with for Toy Story Land or Galaxy's Edge that was supposed to be created just around the Muppets. Right. And it was like literally its own, like you said, like Toy Story Land, but this was going to be like at the beginning of the park. Like this was like going to be launching with Hollywood Studios. But after Jim Henson died, this was not going to be this. No one could kind of come to the same terms they were originally going to have. Kind of like how when Walt Disney died, like Epcot wasn't a thing as it was. The same kind of deal. And no one could kind of make it work. And so they had built Muppet Vision 3D already, and they decided just to incorporate it into Streets of America. Yeah, but Disney did not acquire the rights to the Jim Henson Company, and they still have a good working relationship, but it is nowhere near as deep as it could have been.
Right. And the last thing is and I don't necessarily talk about this in the walkthrough specifically, but just something to know at the end of the street in Grand Avenue, there is like an aqueduct kind of thing, like a viaduct thing. Like it's I don't know exactly how you say this, Figueroa.
Figueroa.
Yeah, Figueroa Street tunnel, and there's a series of tunnels that look like this, and it's this very distinctive LA landmark. And that is, so to kind of make it feel like LA, you like walk through the tunnel, but that's actually how you get to Galaxy's Edge, which is, I can confirm, and I'm sure Crystal can too, a very neat way to enter.
Oh yeah, it blends so seamlessly.
It's really cool. It's really weird.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know.
I know everything.
Yeah, I know my dad and I just was like, is this how this works? And we just like turn the corner, all of a sudden you're just like, yup, okay, this is crazy. So it does work really well. And it is actually based off of a real thing, which is something I suspected was true when we were there, but I couldn't confirm it. And now, because we do this podcast, I was able to research it. And yes, it is.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Personal benefits from this podcast.
Personal benefits. That is mostly what these are. And I would 100%. Not trade it for anything.
Yeah. But that's okay.
So yeah, the walkthrough. Yeah. Here we go. So we start at the Chinese theater, which is kind of roughly where we left off, kind of before.
Kind of.
Just don't think too hard about that. Don't jump directly from the last one to this one, because I'll be wrong. In the direction of travel, so we'll take a left. If we're standing looking at the Chinese theater, we're going to turn to the left and start walking.
But we're going to follow along the building of the Chinese theater, not curving in front of it, because curving in front of it's technically the last Hollywood Studios episode. And that was the Hollywood or the Frozen theater show.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Was that part of Echo Lake?
Yes.
Okay. This is not bad.
Or if not, Frozen theaters right there, and that's where you can watch the Frozen show.
Right. Yes. I've never been. There's no other park at Disney that I get confused about what's what world. Like, seriously. Anyway, I'm sorry.
There's also a bathroom right there that nobody ever goes to. But anyways, moving on.
Good to know. I will now. Okay. The direction of travel, you hugging near the Chinese theater building, you will see the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater and the ABC Commissary. Which when I saw ABC, I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, literally ABC, like
literally the television
studio
channel ABC.
Yes, because that's like there's commissaries, kind of like a central craft services thing at every major studio, and that's what this is supposed to represent. And the Sci-Fi
Disney owns ABC, and it's a Hollywood Studios.
The studios thing, it all just tied right together, nice and neat. Yeah,
advertise the public show.
Dine-In and the ABC Commissary, and they're just kind of like one big thing. Oh, and I made a sassy note. Looks like they almost could have been merged into Echo Lake or something. I'm so cute.
Yeah, but technically they decided to keep it separate. And because us trying to figure out mapping for this was redonkulous.
It was ridiculous. Super, super ridiculous. So that's all on the right as you're going past. and then we're going to take a right.
And that's on let me clarify. So as you're walking down that little walkway, that's on the right-hand side.
Yes.
Technically, on the left-hand side at the far end, there is a meet and greet before pre-COVID, there was a meet and greet for Minnie in her Hollywood outfit, fancy Hollywood outfit. And that's where you could find Mickey in the Sorcerer's Hat outfit for the meet and greet.
Oh, cool.
It's right there, but most people didn't realize it was there.
One.
Yes.
Got it. Well, because no one could find it. Sorry.
I mean, I know where it was, but that's me.
I know, but that's because you're on top of those sorts of things, and you know it's bad when I have no idea where it is. It literally takes somebody who does research on this sort of thing.
You don't like characters.
I know you're a character person.
I do characters.
Hey, do not like is a strong word. Could take or leave is kind of more my zone.
I want to digress so much, but I'm not going to. I will get your thoughts after the episode. We're moving on. Okay, so
we are.
Now as we're taking a right.
Yes, taking a right, and then we are going to see on the right-hand side the Baseline Tap House, which we will also talk about in a minute. But then, if we keep walking, there will be the very next available left is going to be the main area that is Grand Avenue, like kind of proper, like the area that was part of Streets of America.
The entrance to Galaxy's Edge is right there.
Galaxy's Edge is over there. Yep. And then also is Muppet Vision 3D to the right.
Left.
Also in that I'm facing.
If
I don't know.
If
I
you're
don't know which I'm
facing the
facing.
tunnel to Galaxy's Edge, technically it's on the left.
It's to the left.
But if
I
you're
must
still
have turned
curving,
that
it's
way.
on the wall to the right.
I think I'm still curving.
Do you
I just
get
like
what
ignored.
I'm saying? I don't
I
know.
do
I'm
kind of.
3
See,
beers in. We're doing this.
Woo! Yeah.
Child content.
It's fine. Anyway, I'm just curving along. I kind of ignored the Galaxy's Edge thing is my guess. I also wrote this last week, so I'm sorry,
It's
guys.
okay. That's why you have me here to edit.
Exactly.
Edit live. Woo!
It's more like just kind of like an interjection, an active live real-time correction. And then from there, if you're looking at Muppet Vision 3D, and you keep walking past it, I think I see it. I wish I had my map on me.
Slightly past it, more around. This is where it's starting to curve into like the cul-de-sac-y area.
Yes. So then there's Mama Melrose's Italian restaurant. I looked at this wrong. Mama Melrose's Ristorante Italiano. Ristorante. I don't know why they put Italiano at the end then. That's interesting. I'll have to look that up in a minute.
Okay.
Again, I don't know what I was doing. This was a week ago. And then on to the left a little bit in that area is Pizza Rizzo.
And then from there it connects to Star Tours, which we again talked about in the last episode for Hollywood Studios. And if we didn't, we should have. I can't remember.
We did. I think we did, but what world? Oh God. Is that part of Echo Lake?
Technically, yes, it's part of Echo Lake.
I hate that. Anyway.
I know. It's okay. I was doing digging and I was like, are you sure this is this area? Are you sure this is this area? Because I remember like a photo pass opportunity of me being able to get onto one of the bikes from Return of the Jedi right here in front of the character meet and greet for Mickey and Minnie. And this is not next to that. And I'm just so confused.
I know. It's so weird. I swear that they just changed it every couple of years and renamed the lands just to make us confused.
Well, that's
anyway,
Hollywood Studios. I mean, thanks, Eisner.
Thanks, Eisner. We'll just blame Eisner for everything in Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, it's okay.
Anyway,
and then let's get into attraction.
Yes, attraction. Let's talk about attraction. So there's only, as you may have guessed our weirdness, there is only technically one attraction at did you see I wrote exploring? I guess
you're like, and that's it.
So Muppet Vision 3D is the only attraction in this area. It is
either in Commissary Lane or Grand Avenue. We're covering two technically
depending on how drunk you are. I don't know. Like it's just kind of up to you, I guess. That you're not drunk then. I know you.
I know. I'm still sober. It's fine.
It's fine. The thing that's interesting about Muppet Vision is it's been around. It's one of those attractions that I've like seen basically every time I've been to Disney since I was quite young. It holds a very special place in my heart. It's like the only like classic feeling attraction to me in Hollywood Studios, like the one that feels like a classic Disney attraction in my mind, even though it's like I know it's not, but that's just like how it's wired in my head. We've talked about this show before and like best shows or something.
Yeah, it wasn't best show. Just a spoiler.
It wasn't best show. But that wasn't surprising.
I love a lot of the features that are in it. So first off, there's little nuances in the waiting queue where you can like see the key under the rug and you can see upcoming films that they talk about that they've Muppified. Even the outside of the building has a lot of Muppet features where you can tell that the Muppets can't paint right. And they're not
it's super
they're
funny.
not the most precise for things.
No.
But it really helps with the theming and it brings the area to life. And it's a good show. It needs to be updated.
It's old. Yeah. It's definitely like very early 90s feeling, but it's also like very Muppets. And I think probably, and I don't know, you might have a different opinion on this, but I think in terms of like classic Disney 4D attractions, I think that it's probably my favorite, just in terms of the fact that it's like styled well and tells the story beyond just being like, it both is a 4D show and completely makes fun of 4D shows at exactly the same time. And I really appreciate that about it.
You can appreciate that. Yes, that is fact.
I kind of figured that was the way you
Moving on to dining.
And dining.
We've discussed Hollywood studios and their culinary prowess of recent, and this is no exception to that. So discussing the options in this area, the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater Restaurant is exactly that. So what they do are they have fake cars where you sit 2 people front, 2 people back, 4 people to a car in a dark room, and they have a screen showing classic sci-fi commercials and shorts and
50s sci-fi vibe media.
Shakes.
I actually did eat here once in probably about 2007, I think. Maybe
I was
going
to say that's recent, but then I remembered how old I am, and that's not actually recent, so we're not going to talk about
it. Might have been a little bit earlier than that, but I have a memory of that. It was, and also like Disney's improved their food since then.
Oh yes,
I remember the food being very unexceptional, and the car thing felt more cheesy than most Disney cheesy stuff. Like it just felt. I don't remember coming away from it feeling very like immersed. It felt kind of weird. I don't know. That was just me though.
Yeah, really, this is the only place that I can think of though that if parents want to be separated from their children but still feed them properly, but they don't have to pay attention to them, they can put them in the front of the car and just ignore them.
That's true, and the kids will be distracted by the fact they're in the front of the car and they can look at the screen. Disney doesn't know what they're doing. It's also
really hard to get a reservation for this. This is a place that you need to have a reservation for, so just keep an eye out for it. Next one on the list we've discussed, ABC Commissary. That is a quick service here. They do have pre-COVID, they were slowly doing this sort of combo thing where you would order but then find your seat and they would bring out your order to you. Yep. But now that we've moved to full, mobile ordering for anything and everything, it's pretty much just another quick service option there.
Right. And they, according to Disney, they do have alcohol there, so you can get beers and stuff. And it's also designed to look very classically Art Deco, which is pretty cool because they're going for that classic height of Hollywood kind of look. So it's got a neat kind of Art Deco vibe. I remember being there.
A huge ad essentially for the ABC channel. So you're going to see things like Modern Family, and you're going to see like other things like posters on the wall for shows that when you go home, you'll see them. So it's not immersive. It actually, to me, it breaks up the vibe, the sensation of being in Disney, and it brings me back to being home, and it's jarring and it sucks, but that's just me. I mean, when I'm there, I want escapism. I don't want to have to think about what's on the television on Thursday night that I might be missing.
Right. When you're absolutely. There's a couple things that are a little too advertising, and it's like, this is no longer Disney magic anymore. Yeah, for sure. Again, I haven't been in there. I just know like what I've seen pictures of and read. So interesting.
I heard their chicken fingers are good.
Good to know. I'm still not going to go get them, but cool.
Okay, so Mama Melrose, I have to talk about this.
Okay, and also just to be fair, it is actually Mama Melrose's Ristorante Italiano. I just couldn't type up above. Sorry.
That's continue. Okay. You were thinking ahead of time. You're like, this is going to be Italian food, so I'm going to put Italian ahead of time. It's fine. My favorite part of this restaurant. Okay.
Yeah.
When we're allowed, I don't know if this is currently open due to COVID restrictions and everything.
Sure.
But when we are allowed to go back into the restaurant, I'm going to take you up to the second floor.
Oh,
so the second floor of this restaurant is set up like a 90s Italian cheesy wedding reception area.
Oh my God. I did not know this.
Like the tulle and the colored lights on fake like trellises, and it is so horribly like cheesily like, it's perfect. Mwah, chef's kiss. Like if you want to have the most stereotypical like Joey got married sort of feel.
Yes.
This is the place that you can go. And the second floor is just extra seating essentially, but oh my god, it is the silliest of theming options.
What I had kind of
that's a yawn.
That's a yawn. Wow. Anyway, the thing that I was when I was doing kind of a dive in this is it was funny to see that they really went all in on the fact that it's not like an upscale Italian restaurant. Like it's very much like the local Italian family's Italian restaurant that just very home style, very eclectic, kitschy. Yeah. Like that's the vibe. Like that's what they're going for the whole time.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. And so when we go next, we'll just go upstairs and take a look because you have to take a look. It's hilarious. To see it. No,
that's outstanding. And
then we head to the worst pizza on Walt Disney World property.
Ooh, that's strong.
Pizza Rizzo.
Is that true?
Yes.
Is it that bad? Really?
Yes. Yes, it's horrible. It's atrocious. Don't you dare. It was made by rats, so you don't want to eat it anyways. But it is a quick service pizza, hoagies to go. Originally, it was themed to... they had a slight, like... Pizza Planet feel to it too.
Oh yeah, there was because it was Pizza Planet for a while, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they decided to go to Pizza Rizzo. Now, one of the things that I do like about this is that at night, when you can stay in the parks after dark now, since it's winter, it's a little bit easier. The lights flicker out and it spells out it's Rats Pizza. To talk about Rizzo the Rat, which is a Muppet that we're all familiar with, and it brings it in. But it's bad pizza. Just don't eat pizza there. Don't get it. Okay.
Don't do it. I love you too much for you to spend the prices of Disney to eat
on pizza that bad.
There.
Fair enough. So that being said, the last food and beverage item you can do is Baseline Tap House, which is basically, as far as I can tell, just like supposed to be kind of like it's supposed to just model after like an upscale Californian like.
That's actually gone through a couple of reincarnations. Originally, that actually had to do with like screen and typography. So you're going to find a lot of pre-incarnations. You're going to find a lot of notations to that or references to that in there, and so you'll find like typewriters and the block prints that they would use on press machines and all of that.
Sure.
But they not only do beer though, they do like charcuterie. So if you want to have a little bit fancier wine, of a palate, they do have some wine. Aperitifs, but it's not anything that is going to be substantial to help you get through. Right. Still better than Pizza Rizzo.
That's fair.
Now,
just go get a little bit hammered at Baseline.
Yeah. Shopping. There is one shopping location. It is currently closed due to COVID, which is sad because of the time of the year that we're talking about. But there's a Christmas shop called It's a Wonderful Shop that's located in between Mama Melrose and Pizza Rizzo. And it is a year-round Christmas shop, kind of like the one that you can find in Magic Kingdom. And they have ornaments and all that fun stuff. In
Stillwater, Minnesota? No.
Like I said, though, it is currently closed, but hopefully we don't see that they have permanently closed it, unlike they've permanently closed some other things. So we're hoping that as COVID keeps getting through our systems, we're able to open up more, that will come back. Now, talking about the area, there are former attractions.
Yes,
one of which most people don't realize they actually had there, but it was a huge thing. And it was the Hunchback of Notre Dame, a musical adventure.
You're going to find this really funny, but I have a memory of actually seeing this. I just didn't know it was over here. I actually saw it. Thank you.
Yeah. And now people forget that Hunchback even exists as a movie. But at the time, there was this huge theater, and it was a big crowd pleaser, just like Beauty and the Beast and The Little Mermaid. There was also the play area, which was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie set adventure. I love how everything was an adventure in that area.
There's always an adventure, yeah.
But that's one that I remember playing around with and sitting on top of an ant. I think there's even like a picture of me out there. Now we need to find that. Climbing structures, net areas. I remember a big Cheerio, things that you find in the movie, hence the movie set. But it was basically a big play place. Nice. And then there was the backlot tour, which technically the opening is in an area that you don't have access to anymore. So I threw it in here because the majority of the attraction was in this area. But it basically was a tram attraction. And you can verify this. That brought you through different sets that made you feel like you were in the movies.
And I loved it. It was such a fun attraction for me. Like young Ian was like, I love to see that.
Quintessential, like Hollywood Studios. It was, you wanted to go to the movies. That's why you went to MGM Studios. Right. And this brought you into the movies. And now we don't have that. That
is true.
That and the Great Movie Ride were the park. And now both of them are gone.
Both of them are gone.
So it's become
it's grim.
We're not going to digress into Epcot, but backlot tour. The big selling point of this one was the final scene where they brought you into the Big Thunder Basin, where they had thousands of gallons of water coming down and fire and explosions and all of this other stuff. And it made you feel like you were in the movie.
Yes,
or
absolutely.
Something like that.
Or something to that effect.
And then just due to the season, there was the Osborne Family Spectacle of Lights, which actually stopped fairly recently. I think it stopped in 2018.
That is the number that I read. Yes.
Yeah. And so it was millions of lights that had been donated to the Disney company, actually by the Osborne family. Not Osborne as in Ozzy Osbourne, but just a local family that had millions and millions of lights in a light display that they'd put up every year and got yelled at by the city eventually.
I love that.
And gave it up to Disney. And Disney utilized their Streets of America to have this huge showcase of the Spectacle of Lights. Nice. Since it's been closed in 2018, all of those lights have been donated to Give Kids the World, which currently is also putting on light shows with those million lights. So they are not completely gone. If you want to see them, go check out Give Kids the World and donate to them too. They're a great cause. It's kind of like
Make-A-Wish,
where it's children who are going through critical situations and their family and all this other stuff. Just give kids their dream. Give Kids the World. It's just, it's a good organization. Just go.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much this area. And I think we've talked their ears off.
That's probably true. Though it's not our longest discovering episodes. I think we did okay. No.
But all of these are like weird wanders and
they really are.
And tirades, which we're fine with.
Yeah, but it's just to be kind of
hopefully this made sense to you. Hopefully gave you some inspiration to at least go up to the second floor of Mama Melrose, please. Please, just to get a giggle. But this has been WD Carousel of Podcast. My name is Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And we hope you have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye, everybody.